welcome to the very first episode of the Dumbass's Guide to Knowledge. This first episode will be about my plans for the podcast and what it's going to be all about. I'm going to be mostly basing this podcast on articles that I've written for my blog, which by pure coincidence is also named the Dumbass's Guide to Knowledge. What are the chances of that? Anyway, come visit me at www.dumbassguide.info if you want to get an idea of the kind of stuff that I've been writing about. I've been maintaining the Dumbass's Guide to Knowledge blog for almost a year now. It's a blog devoted to critical thinking from my own dumbass perspective. I started writing a blog because I felt the need to contribute more to the community and to the public discussion than I had been up to that point, and I've had a lot of fun writing it. Now, I should bring up right off the bat that some people have questioned me about the name I chose. They say that they enjoy my articles but are worried that other people aren't going to take me seriously. I'm personally not all that concerned about that possibility, but I've got what I consider to be a very good reason for choosing the name that I did. Basically, the name is meant to be a reminder to myself and others that I'm fallible. Before I began writing the blog, I thought a lot about my responsibility towards my readers. I've kind of got my own little soapbox here, but I don't want anybody to accept anything that I have to say completely without question. And I want to prevent myself from indulging in that self-serving mindset which says that I'm a critical thinker, and therefore I can't be fooled. Logic and reason are the very best tools for understanding the world around us, but ultimately, they're being used by a flawed human brain. If you fail to recognize this, you will allow yourself to become more vulnerable to being swayed by faulty reasoning. I was inspired for the name by the popular The Complete Idiot's Guide to series of books. I replaced Complete Idiot with Dumbass because, well, I just really like the word dumbass. And the more I look around me, the more I realize that we're all essentially just dumbasses trying to do the best that we can. We shouldn't trust what anybody has to say completely without question. Now, I hear you asking, "Hey, dumbass!" And for future reference, that's the way I prefer to be addressed, but I digress. I hear you asking, "Hey, dumbass, what does some no-talent hack like you think that you have to add to the podcasting universe?" Well, first of all, I'm a human being with feelings here. There's no need to be hurtful. You could have phrased that differently, though I don't entirely disagree with your premise. But second, to get to the heart of what you're talking about, there's one thing that I've noticed about podcasts in general. Most of them are actually created by dumbasses of questionable talent, and several of those are favorites of mine and I never miss an episode. I started my blog because I wanted to participate more in the public discussion, and I've realized that in most cases I find it more convenient to listen to a podcast than to read a blog article online. I have many articles under my belt right now that I'm very pleased with, and I figure it's about time that I start putting them out there in spoken word format for the convenience of anybody who's interested in what I have to say. I've been told that my voice sounds like the 90s cartoon character Eek the cat.
Hello, Annabelle. I'm Eek, your new neighbor.
Good Lord, do I really sound like that? I'm starting to have second thoughts about this. Yeah, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. It does make me cringe a little because it makes me realize that I probably sound like a complete dork. But then, some of my favorite podcasters also tend to sound like complete dorks, which makes me realize that that's not really a barrier to releasing a genuinely entertaining podcast. Whether this podcast will be genuinely entertaining or not is still a question. But if it turns out that I suck, I'll at least know not to blame that on my voice or my speaking abilities. So, what can you expect from this podcast? Well, like I said, I've got many good articles under my belt that I plan on modifying for use as podcast episodes. By necessity, since my articles are all different lengths, my episodes are also going to be of different lengths as well. I'm not going to give myself a certain time limit per episode. I will devote as much time as necessary to cover the topic that I wrote about. Now you'd probably like to know what kind of topics I've written about. Well, one of the things I love to do is write articles analyzing paranormal claims. I've written about a ghost cavalry, a psychic detective, a premonition of the eruption of Krakatoa, and several articles on the claims made by ancient alien theorists. I've also looked at more down-to-earth claims, such as those made by people who believe that aspartame is poison, or the claim that a dog can understand mathematical equations. I've even tackled claims of the ShamWow's effectiveness. I will look at any claim that piques my interest, and if you would like to see the kind of stuff that I write about, then feel free to go to www.dumbassguide.info and have a look for yourself. I don't know how often I'll be releasing podcasts. It really depends on when I can make the time to do it, and time is so scarce these days. But the good news is that since most of my episodes will be modifications of articles I've already written, that cuts down on the amount of work that I'll have to do. I may branch out into doing other things as well. Who knows where all this will go. I'm planning to just have fun with it as much as possible. The theme song I'm using is My Monkey by Jonathan Coulton. For some reason, when I pictured myself doing a podcast, I just pictured this song as my theme. Mr. Coulton's music is released under the Creative Commons license, and he has a number of great songs available on his website, www.jonathancoulton.com. And visit me at www.dumbassguy.info. If you want to send me an email, the address is dumbass@dumbassguy.info. I'll talk to you again next time I release a new episode of The Dumbass's Guide to Knowledge.